It's January. Goals, words of the year, all of our big plans that we hope don't crumble by February.
Especially the diet goals.
Oh, yeah. We're going to talk about where we stand as far as goals and words of the year and share what we're planning on for our own family.
Mama says namaste. Mama says namaste.
Making a family can be easy and fun.
Oh, yeah, but raising a family can be a whole different story.
From spouses to kids to the crazy daily grind, life often directs us away from connection and more into reactive chaos.
If you're tired of that cycle and are seeking something beyond the picket fence blues, this is the show for you.
I'm Ashley.
And I'm Nathan.
And we're here to take you from chaos to clarity by bringing awareness and intention into your home, not waiting for one day, and highlighting how
the uniqueness in each of us strengthens all of us.
Take a deep breath in and let's start a brand new day. With Mama says namaste.
Goal setting. January, that's that time of the year, you know, when you have all your plans and you're ready to roll.
That's right.
And you knock them out too, right?
Right.
Check 'em right
Of
off the
course.
list.
Right. Actually, no, I was talking with my dad. We did a webinar on goals and goal setting and everything in our 48 Days Eagles community. And he was talking about there's actually a day that's official fall off the wagon day. And what it is, yes, it's the second weekend or the second week of February.
Oh, I knew it.
Yep. February 9th is the day it hits today.
6 weeks.
So, yeah. So 6 weeks is about the time that those goals start to fizzle. And there comes that fall off the wagon where you've messed up once and then, I just give up. And they don't. And on fall off the wagon day, there is a drastic drop in... There's a drastic rise in out-to-eat restaurant eating and carry-out, and a drastic drop in gym memberships. Mm-hmm. Yeah. On that day, you have both of them switch.
That's interesting. But, it's funny how we're just kind of creatures of habit in a way. And that's what goal setting does for me, is it just reminds us that we need to change our habits. And it gives you a chance to adjust or go in the direction of a habit you desire that you haven't tried out yet.
Well, that's a really good way to state it too, because that's really one of our big differences is when we're talking about goals. Even for example, last year, I wanted to do more reading. I wanted to read more books. So I could have set a multitude of different goals, and I could have set a goal of I want to read, 10 books a year. And so I could have gone and worked toward a quantity like that. But I recognized what I was really wanting wasn't just reading a book and knocking off a list, although I really like that sense of accomplishment.
You do. You got your little trophy of books on the
I
shelf
do like
now.
my accomplishments. But I wanted to do it because I wanted to get into the habit of taking that downtime of having some sacred time for me to just read and digest away from a screen and really just pick up some books because that was something I loved to do. And so instead of setting the goal of I need to read a certain number of books or anything else, I set the goal of setting aside time every day to read. And
without a destination in mind.
Right, with no destination in mind, but simply creating space. So I set my goal became more of an intention of creating space. And in doing that, my goal surpassed what I thought I could do. And I read way more books than I thought that I could accomplish. And it really came just from shifting and being open to creating space for. And oftentimes, I think that's the best goal. I mean, that's an amazing part of goals, is simply to create space for what you want to build, what you want to create and invest in.
Well, that's a really interesting perspective, because a lot of times we try to say, well, here's what I need. I need to read 1 book a month or 2 books a month. Mm-hmm. And, so my goal is 24 books.
Right.
And so you just kind of stay within that goal. But if you offer yourself the space, the opportunity to read, then you don't know what that end result is going to be until you get to the finish line. And it may surpass what you were expecting. But it's not like a big, well, man, I've got to read 21 books or 24 books this year. It changes the whole piece from, a big fat elephant to just a daily slice.
Right. And so we look at goals not necessarily as the binding contract we step into. Goals should have grace for growth. And so when you are creating your goals, you're looking for how you are allowing grace for the opportunity to pivot as you grow. Because as we move forward, the whole focus of a goal is to keep you moving forward, having a forward moving focus of building, learning, and growing into who you want to become and the things that you want to accomplish. And so as long as a goal is fueling you forward, that's great. But oftentimes we can feel trapped in our goals. We said that, my goal is to become a podcaster. And then you come to find out, I absolutely hate podcasting. This is a horrible fit.
But
I'm trapped because I said I was going to do it. Well, no. Be careful about trapping yourself into your goals. Use your goals as your guideposts and have that grace for growth as you go. When we talked about every year we bring this up and we talk about goals and we talk about what our word or our intention is for the year. And so last year when we did this and I shared in the Eagles community, we had one of our members, Roxanne, create an acronym for goals, and it spells out the word eagle. And I love how it's laid out. It's E, does the goal give you energy? A, are you in a place to take action? G, is there opportunity for growth? L, are you ready to live it? And E, do you have encouragement from others? I love that because it's not about the end accomplishment. It's building relationships and moving forward.
Well, it's a desire-driven life.
Ooh, yes.
Instead of, kind of a, I gotta get here.
Right. And so it's finding some excitement around it. So when you set a goal, it's for that forward movement. So we really, the reason for using that goal then is to kind of look at, breaking it down in steps to reach your desire. And so, for example, with the book reading, me wanting to add more book reading into my life, I broke it down to what's one thing I can do every day. Well, I can set aside an hour in the morning and have that be my tea time and screen-free time. And doing that, I'm a bookworm by nature anyway. So if I see anything with words, I'm going to read it. And so it works perfect. Just doing that kind of safeguarded me to be able to accomplish my goals and desires. And I was really excited about, what all I learned just by creating that time as a sacred space and being able to dig deep into books.
Well, and it's funny, the kind of butterfly effect or ripple effect that had, because as you added that goal to your life, others would join you in that goal and read alongside. Mm-hmm. And I think I probably read in the rears every book you read this year except for one or two.
I still have a few on your list for you to read.
Oh, man. So I'm like 27.
Yeah. I was like a few pages away from my 30th book this past year. And it's hard for me not to want to write that on my accomplished list for 2022.
So you're 29, huh?
Yeah, 29 and 3/4.
And 3/4?
Yeah,
That's so cute.
I just need to add that.
The girls are learning about rounding. I bet they could teach you.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just round up.
30.
Anyway, so as we set our goals, the way that we really do our goals is instead of setting it down and quantifying 5,000 different things that we have a goal for or anything else, we want to look at the feeling behind the goal, and we want to look at what our vision is for the year. And those two things really help us to lay down more than just not necessarily a specific goal to start with, but kind of a mantra and a perspective to base our goals off of. And so first and foremost, we always have our basis of just understanding what our family vision is. And if you are not sure where to start with your family, start with that being the ultimate big big goal of what do you want home to look like? What do you want home to feel like? And I have links for digging deep into how to create your own family vision, even with young children, on the blog that goes along with today's episode. So you can dig deep into how to create your family vision. And we did this a long time ago. We've stuck with the same family vision all these years. I'm completely open to people modifying those as your family grows. For us, it just has seemed to stick. We have explore, respect,
listen, connect,
learn, and love. And that's our family vision. And so we know we've got a basis of this. We know the basis of the way our family wants to approach each other, what we want to cultivate in our home. But what do we want to do from there? So then we look at what is our word for the year. So this becomes our theme for intentionality. So just sharing some of the ones that we have done in the past here. And we've been doing this since 2015. And so in 2015, that was kind of a wake-up call year for us. It was our 10-year anniversary, and that was where it really hit us. Actually, I guess 2014 was October we went out, and then the next year, 2015 was our first adventure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so in 2015 was our first time that we really started our adventures, and we spent a month in Costa Rica. And that focus that year was letting go of one day. And we had that constant theme of our focus was it'll always remain one day until you put a date on it. And so the first of 2015, I put a date on a Costa Rica trip for a month to take our family away to another country for a month to just take a break, take a breather, reset, and see what did we really want to go back to? What do we want to open back up when we came home?
Dear Ashley knows exactly how to get her husband moving.
Buy a plane ticket.
Buy a plane. Oh, what? You did what? I bought plane tickets for this day.
Yep.
So now I got to talk to my coworkers. Okay,
exactly. I gave you a 9-month notice.
9
You know, lots of things can develop in 9 months or 10.
Dang, be careful.
Yeah. All right. So then we had in 2016.
The year of awe. That was a year that we were just looking to, I guess we launched. And
yeah.
We were exploring the country, and we wanted to find that sense of awe. We wanted to have those moments together where we were finding new experiences and, exploring our country together. And that was a really fun year of awe.
Yeah, and so that year was great for really having us learn how to really be in the present moment. And we were really in the present moment as we were learning new places and a new camper all in the same stretch there.
But a whole year of La La Land can wear you down.
Well, we had a lot of needing that reminder in the year of 2016 as we were getting ready. We didn't launch until October. So there was a whole lot of how do we create awe in the moment? And not just go crazy with 3 small children who right before we launched, we had, 3, 6, and 8. And so that year we had 3, 6, and 8-year-olds and are trying to pack up everything we knew of home in a suburban neighborhood and moving into a trailer and launching indefinitely.
Yeehaw.
Yeah. So we created a lot of opportunity for awe, and that became our grounding when we started to get really frazzled. In 2017, we wanted to getting our focus. I pursued clarity on what I was offering and coaching on this year. I created a bunch of acronyms that kept me on track, and we had a lot of conversations about where our focus was and what was serving us well and where we might better direct our attentions.
And then came 2018, your favorite year. Year of and.
Yeah. Yeah. And that one's definitely a theme that has stuck ever since 2018.
Yeah, it has. Well, let's have dessert and have a party.
Well, it became a really great way to handle perspectives when at this point we're dealing with a little bit of decision fatigue of being in, of having, being in our travels for a while and RVing the States and looking around and trying to see what do we want to do. And we looked for opportunities. How can we look for ways where we can all, think outside of the box of what we thought was possible. And it opened up a ton of doors for us. And we really started to look at more and more opportunities. I mean, in adding and in, we took the word but out of our vocabulary.
Yeah. It's funny to see like the as we go through these how they counter each other. You know, it's like we're the year of awe where we run around and just are flighty, and then okay, we got to get focused, and then then we have too much focus, so let's do let's pour it on, and then next one was unhurried spaciousness in 2019. Okay, let's slow it down. Let's give ourselves a break.
Oh my goodness, isn't this a bit like seasons?
Yeah.
We can sit here and we can look at it and we can criticize ourselves as being flighty, or we can look at ourselves as recalibrating and balancing as we go in our flow and in our seasons. Again, we can always write different stories about our past and our perspectives, or different stories about our future and what we want to create. And so think about that. I mean, if you are looking back and you start to look at patterns in your life, what does that make possible? What can you learn from that? Versus beating yourself up over it either. Yeah, I look at that and I'm like, okay, yeah, we're still learning and growing. And we have seen it so much in the way that we've kind of course corrected every year. So yeah, in 2019, the theme was unhurried spaciousness. That year of and created so many amazing opportunities. We ran really hard that year. And we accomplished, that's the year that we hit our 48th state. Mm-hmm. So we went to all 48 states between the years of 2016 to 2018. So we still have Alaska and Hawaii left, and that is it for us to cover all of the states in the U.S. And so we wanted to have a year of just looking back. Now that we had accomplished our big accomplishment, we wanted to slow down and see where do we want to go back and spend more time on. And it really was great. We kind of went from, camping and staying places 2 to 3 nights or, 4 nights max, to looking at 2-week stretches at a time and staying in an area and getting to know an area a lot more. And again, just like the year of and added more opportunity in our lives, this year of unhurried spaciousness allowed some really incredible serendipitous opportunities, like me being able to go up in a hot air balloon because we created the space to get involved and to be invested and to open up for what opportunities are there.
Well, that's the thing, is it's amazing how when you kind of have a drive towards something and not necessarily have the specifics ironed out, you allow life to, flush those out for you, but you have a path that you're going on. It's really cool what shows up.
Yeah. In 2020, as everything shut down,
we didn't know that at that point, though, right? 2020.
No, and I
we
look
were all
at that
rolling into the new year, excited for clarity and seeing into the future and all that baloney.
It's really funny, the theme that we chose, because the theme we chose for that year was 5 senses to break the cycle of a negative mindset. What we focused on for the year of 2020 was our senses, and it's really interesting because in times of stress and in times of struggling with being in survival mode, that's one of the first things. And I have an incredible interview that I did with Alyssa Smith where we talked about procrastination and survival mode. And she talks about, as a trained trauma coach and therapist, and a lot about dealing with trauma and survival mode and studying the brain. She talks about one of the ways to kind of reset when you're in that is to engage the senses. You're not going to stop and drink a cup of warm tea and light a candle when you have a bear running after you. So those ways of engaging your senses can reset your body out of survival mode and out of that fight, flight, flight, freeze, or fawn, and allows you to kind of sit in the moment. And here we'd created our theme of 5 senses in the year that, oh my goodness, did we rely on that?
Yeah.
Did we stop and engage in those senses? I mean, I remember at one point we were holed up in a very rural area of Georgia, and it was kind of right at the heart of kind of some of the outbreaks with COVID of super spreaders and everything, and we're laying low, and there's no restaurants around, there's no good food around for vegetarians and everything. And then you took the one trip to Costco, which was like an hour away, came back with a fancy feast of so much good food. And we had been living on rice, like literally living on rice and beans for weeks. That's all we'd had.
Yeah.
And it was, oh my gosh, we lit candles, we played music, we had amazing food. We ended up rescuing kittens, and I remember them falling asleep with a cup of water and jazz music playing.
Mm-hmm.
So many ways that we engage the senses to bring such joy during a time of upheaval and uncertainty for our whole
Fear.
world.
Yeah. Well, and then the fitting one for 2021 was nurture. Take care of that old body that's been through a rough year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we as we did that, we looked at, what we might want to create and foster. In 2020, at the very end in October is always a big month for us, apparently. And in October, we bought a house down in Florida. The campground shuffle in the wintertime in Florida was getting really difficult to navigate, and a beautiful opportunity popped up that just was a perfect fit. And so we looked at, well, what are we going to nurture in this new home? Are we going to nurture community and relationships? Are we going to set it up to be a place for people to come and visit us? And so we really worked on what we wanted to nurture and cultivate in Florida. And that year opened up volunteering with the Florida State Parks and really getting involved there and learning about so many new things and meeting new people. And then also getting to know this area in Venice where we're at. So so now we've come all the way through up to our word for 2022. And I was going to do this last week for the first of the year. And we have had back to back company. We're on our third week of company in our home. And we had not had time to sit down and talk as a family. So in between company this past weekend, we had a bit of a lull, and we were able to sit down with the family and really talk about what our word would be. Oh, you know what? I just realized we just missed 2022.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you want to share what was our word for 2022?
I forgot.
It was nurture again.
It was nurture again. Okay.
We chose our word for 2022 without having gone back and reflected on our lists before. And 2021 was quite a whirlwind year. We had nurture, but we didn't have it forefront in our mind. And we had a lot of really learning the ropes in a whole new arena with doing the volunteering. We spent 5 months volunteering with Florida State Parks, and we dove into that. And so while our word was nurture, a lot of it was nurturing our minds. We were learning and growing a lot about learning about a lot of different perspectives, new ways to live, different environments, and everything else. And so in 2022, we said, okay, our word is nurture. We love this. We want to nurture and cultivate new relationships. And then we looked back and, and that was our word for 2021 as well.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's A-okay. It's okay to have the same word for a decade, that is your theme that you go to. So we did lay out a ton of things to nurture, and we accomplished it. The word was there all along in that first year, but we didn't know yet what all was going to show up. So as we saw the love of herping that Clara had and wanting to work in the Keys and all of these things, we decided that we'll continue this and look at what else are we going to nurture and cultivate, and how are we going to take it a step further to help figure out what our next direction is. We recognized last year how we are in that last decade of launching our children into their independence, not necessarily booting them out of the house, but launching them into their independence to be seen as an adult. And can they stand on their own feet as an adult? And I just see here in what we wrote last year that nurture, Nathan says, nurture means all those little spaces in us that we've forgotten about that need our attention. Now is a time to dig and sit with those and see what comes out of it. It's amazing when you give something that might have been neglected or forgotten about a little attention to see what truly blossoms. And boy, looking back, boy, do I feel like that is so true. Just like my reading. Mm-hmm. How excited I allowed a little bit of time to build that seed. And last night, my cousin's visiting right now. And last night we spent like 2 hours just digging into all the book recommendations we had for each other.
That's funny.
And it's so fun because of all the things that we've learned and the way I've grown with that. So now getting back to 2022, three. Where are we? 2023. What's our word? It's not nurture this year.
Come on. It's so easy. I'll forget it again.
We wanted to nurture, cultivate. We've had 2 years of nurturing and cultivating without full clarity on, are we going to go back out on the road? Are we going to stay here? Are we looking at becoming more stationary? Are we going to do full-time? Are we going to do part-time? What are we going to do? And we haven't had a bunch of clarity on that.
So we got together and we got some clarity on that, and we chose a word. And our word is drive.
And what does that mean to you?
Well, to me, drive, I kind of move it to kind of more of a mechanism. You know, like you think about a car to drive in. The car doesn't go anywhere unless it has an engine, a transmission, tires, and a body. So it takes multiple parts to drive through and to achieve. And so for me, it's kind of working together as a family, finding each other's skills and abilities and placing that in a way that we can move forward together.
I love that. Yeah, and we asked the girls, so we came up on this word. We threw out a ton of words, and I asked in our Unschooling Families community on Facebook. I asked in the Eagles community that we have with 48 Days. And I asked even on my personal Facebook, you know, what is your word of the year? And we've heard some wonderful words. And it's been really cool to see what all words people have come up with. And so we had a lot of inspiration just by seeing all of these other words that that everybody had come up with, you know, determined, expand, creator, impact and freedom, focus, friends, get ready to launch, availability, reconnect. Those are just a few. Let's see. Now, meant to be. I love that one. Magnify, balance, soar, pursuit, composure, perspective. There's so many words that can speak to you. And so for us, drive was it. And we asked the girls, you know, what does drive mean to you and what are you driven to do this year? And they all wrote papers on that. And it's funny, each one of them used the same terminology. Drive means to me two things, both literally and figuratively. I think they all like those words. And so they talked about drive, for all three of them, is a literal and figurative deal. We talked about how all of us really perked up and got excited about the idea of going back on the road and enjoying that. And so, you know, as far as one of the things they're driven to do, we are all driven to do some research to explore where we want to go back out on the road to. What all do we want to visit? What are going to be our top destinations? We're not going to cross off every state this time. What are we going to do? And
what are we driven to do?
What are we driven to do? And oh my gosh, this morning I got a whole list of places for us to research in the southern southwest portion of the country that Clara is very, very excited about.
Oh, yes.
I walked in on Ellie yesterday researching other campgrounds along the way. So Southwest is calling us if you know of anything wonderful we have to see. So there's the literal drive for it, and then there is the figurative drive of what are we driven to do, to expand on, and to develop. And we've got two teenagers who both are looking for how they're going to start making their own income. And now they both
searching for their own drive.
Right. And they've both created their own income multiple times over the years, just being in an entrepreneurial family. But we've never committed them to, you know, hey, this is something that you really want to, you know, dive deep in and create a schedule and everything, because we honor the fact that they're kids. We want them to be kids. And we want to foster, you know, more and more of those work opportunities. And so they are driven to figure out, what are they driven to do? What are things that they can do to contribute in the household and beyond? And what are their skill sets? And so we're excited about where drive will take us. And we all are driven to deepen our own personal drive to see where we can grow and expand and better who we are, as well as kind of stepping into these new teen and tween roles of family team. Because as our family grows, we come at it from a very team approach. Everyone has a role. Well, everyone has a role and we can be a family team, but a family team with one of the team players being a 2-year-old is navigated a little bit different than a family team with a team member being a 12-year-old. And so this is a new reframing of our home, of our team, of the responsibilities that we ask our kids to do, and the way that they step into their own independence and take ownership of different things in the household, not because we're sloughing off our duties, but because we're giving them an opportunity to play house, play adult before they get out there in the real world.
Feel what it feels like to do all the dishes.
Right.
Before you get surprised.
Right. So we've had a lot of different words of the year. From those words have accomplished some amazing goals. And really the goals for us is, if I were to take everything and go way, way, way back into the super, super big picture of the goal, what is the super big picture of a goal? Success, happiness. What does success look like for you? Well, it's going to be different for different people. So for me, my ultimate goal of success is really just thriving in and enjoying my family while having a sustainable enough income that I'm not in survival mode, that I can give from a full cup. And that's it. That's what I identify as my biggest indicator of success and of accomplishing my goals, is that we are growing as a family, enjoying one another's company, and able to give from a full cup. That doesn't mean that we have to be swimming in millions. It doesn't mean that I'm just on the constant quest for making more income. It's looking at, are we able to take care of ourselves and be able to, invest in others along the way.
And I think there was some disillusion at times where there's this idea that, if I have $1 million in the bank, then
I'll be happy.
Then I can relax and be happy. And, I was talking to some of our visitors about how, we have lived in a retirement community for the last 4 or 5 years, basically. Mm-hmm. And,
meaning we've wintered down in retirement community with snowbirds.
But our peers are in their retired stage of life. And I hear and listen to how they respond to that. And there are some that respond to it very negatively and are angry about their life. There are some that respond to it as this is wonderful. I want to take advantage of this because I gave part of myself away and now I'm going to recapture that. Mm-hmm. It just, what I was telling them is it showed me the importance of how valuable it is to follow your dreams now and enjoy your life now rather than waiting for one day. Because that bitter taste in your mouth, that that bitter cookie that you eat to get what you want, sometimes it doesn't change the taste in your mouth when you retire.
Right. And that's going full circle back to that first word we picked back in 2015 of not waiting for one day. It'll always remain one day until you put a date on it. And so often when we don't, and we just say someday or one day I'm going to enjoy this or that, by the time that happens, we've forgotten how to have fun. That's the biggest one.
Enjoy is different.
Right. It's not just that, as you've pushed everybody off to work to get the money, you've severed the relationships. And as you've pushed off your own health and well-being, you've compromised your health. Even beyond both of those and how much you've hurt that. Yeah, it's just the mindset. It's the mindset of going to work with no joy, of grueling through life to one day try to find joy. It gets pretty hard to look for it when you've had the goggles of drudgery through your whole life. And so as we look at that, and as I look at my big picture of success is not just sitting out there one day. It's my reminder every day on what can I do that's going to push us and fuel us a little bit to continue to pursue that big picture. And that big picture is always going to be a step ahead of me because of the fact that I recognize I'm going to continue to grow. So I always have some more opportunity there. Not just me, but every family member is changing. Mm-hmm. And growing is going to come at me in a different way. And we have different perspectives that we can share with one another.
A baklava game of life, isn't it?
It is.
And the layers.
So our challenge for you is to share with us what is your intention for 2023. How do you want to lay that out? Do you have some goals that go back to what we were talking before? Goals that excite you, that give you energy? Do they incite you to take action? Is there opportunity and flexibility for growth in the goals? Are you ready to live it? Or do you have your family on board with it? What goals do you have set? What intention do you have in your home? What words speak to you and feelings speak to you for this year? We'd love to hear from you, and you can always go to the website and comment on the blog post. Every Friday, I send an email out with not only the podcast of the week, but also some quotes that go along with it and some sustainable insights for how you can make a positive impact in this world, and anything else that speaks to me for that week. So in that, I oftentimes ask people there, hey, just hit reply. And I love getting those individual emails back and being able to connect with each of you. So we'd love to hear from you on what your words are and sharing those in the different communities. If you are in the Unschooling Families community or the Eagles community, or just replying to us. And as we continue our own drive, I'm driven to create some more themes for topics to cover this year. And different people to be on. We've gotten feedback about having some more Juliet podcast episodes.
No.
Yes. So doing some Juliet podcast episodes, other interviews, and more. So if you have a question for the podcast, if you are feeling like you have listened to any episode and there's a yes, but... Well, as you heard, we eliminated the word but from our vocabulary a few years ago, and we'd love to talk about it, help you through what you are struggling with in your home so that this podcast is not just motivational, but completely relevant to those unique situations in your home. So share with us the things that are going on in your world, what you are excited about and what you are struggling with. And as we go forward this week, remember, the uniqueness in each of us strengthens all of us. Namaste.
2, 3. Up with the rising sun, already on the run. Mama says namaste. Life is a tangled mess, and you don't have to stress. Mama says namaste. 'Cause today I will stand up and be all that change.